life lately has been wake up, exercise, go to work, travel back home, be exhausted, think about making art and drawing, scroll on my phone, repeat. Perhaps the biggest depression/recession indicator is the epidemic of everyone reading The Artist's Way. Now, I'm gonna jump on this bandwagon as I watch the world's economy fall into a recession. I was in conversation with one of my other friends who is also an artist, and she was like, oh, have you tried The Artist's Way? I said no, so why not try The Artist's Way? Mixed reviews about this. I definitely a bit skeptical, a little bit in a sense. Heard some good things, heard some not so great things. I don't know. I've just heard only good things really by people who've completed it. These are my preconceived notions before starting it and my assumptions, but I think I might struggle with the morning pages just because I do other things in my mornings. So it might become afternoon pages. I'm just not sure when they need to get done by. And then, yeah, the whole like spiritualness that I've heard about this book doesn't fully sit very comfortably with me at this stage, but who knows, maybe I'll be converted or maybe not. I'll give it a red hot go. That's all I can say at the moment. For those not in the know, The Artist Way is a 12-week course, a course in discovering and recovering one's creative self. The Artist Way consists of what I'll call 4 core parts. There's the morning pages, the artist states, the readings, and the tasks/exercises. I've just been working through a bunch of the tasks for The Artist's Way this morning, and I wrote my letter. Here's my little letter. It's a select and write out one happy piece of encouragement and write a thank you letter. Mail it to yourself or your mentor. From myself to myself. I'll send that off shortly. Alright. You are someone who would draw on your homework, draw during class, during lectures, and much to your parents' dismay, even on the walls. But over time, something shifted. One of our chief needs as creative beings is support. For many families, a career in the arts exists outside of their social and economic reality. If the child is encouraged to consider art in job terms at all, he or she must consider it sensibly. Now, as a child, I grew up, if you have to classify it, somewhere in that like lower middle class, which is still good. I still had a great childhood, but a couple of those mindsets really stick with you. I was raised with the notion that an artistic career is just very financially unstable. Art was definitely seen as a hobby, something that you do on your weekend if you've got a spare hour or two. Shadow artists often choose shadow careers. Very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist. Okay, wow. Way to call me out. Like, has she read my LinkedIn or something? Like, I feel seen, but in a way that hits way too close to home, I think. The amount of times that I've seen other people create art and think, yeah, I could do that. I know my skill is good enough. I'm gonna do it. I'm capable of doing it. But then, like, where is the work? Hello? Like, where to go? Just thoughts, no action. The spiral continues, and we are each our own worst critic. I think Cameron really pulls this thought cycle to a close with this quote. And this quote like really hits home for me. As a rule of thumb, shadow artists judge themselves harshly, beating themselves for years over the fact that they have not acted on their dreams. This cruelty only reinforces their status as shadow artists. Remember, it takes nurturing to make an artist. Shadow artists did not receive sufficient nurturing. They blame themselves for not acting fearlessly anyhow. Throughout this week, I've been working through what it means to be an artist, what an artist looks like, and what an artist does, and trying to figure out what's blocking, I guess, me from really confidently calling myself an artist. Like, I say it in my videos and stuff like that, and I have a whole degree and all that, but there's this whole activity of like looking to my past to unravel how I've come to become the enemy of my own creative self. Tough stuff. So my week 1 reflection, morning pages, was a little tricky as I had assumed. And this is a habit that asks for quite a lot of time in my mind. To find the dedicated focus time to do all 3 pages, honestly, that was difficult for me, especially in the morning. And I think ultimately it's all about that long-term process. Week 1, there were a couple of days where I just did 1 or 2 pages. I don't know, I'm gonna try my best to do all 3 where I can. It just feels like a lot of time spent writing. My artist date. This was a little bit opportunistic and a little less planned than I don't know if Cameron desires it to be. Maybe that's a good thing, like an accessible ease into this idea of a date with myself, for myself, with my inner artist. So my date had 2 goals: to buy bubble tea or boba, and for me that is not a difficult thing to do. The second thing was to purchase a pair of exercise shorts, and this has been something that I've been like procrastinating for years and years because I have enough for rotation, but I don't have enough should we accidentally miss a laundry cycle. In my head, in the library, I was just putting off this idea of going and purchasing them and like having to try on a bunch of different shorts, but it was surprisingly easy, very, very quick, and I didn't have to spend an exorbitant amount of money either. I felt successful despite the low barrier to entry, so that was definitely good. In fact, perfect. My dates do feel a little bit goal oriented at the moment, but is that just dating? Like, does going on dates guarantee your relationship growing? No, but not going on dates means that your relationship will definitely not grow. I think any significant issues for my week 1 recovery so far, there's just been time and energy trying to like implement this new thing into my life. It feels like these actions aren't working towards my goal yet, but gonna keep at it. Week 1 is just week 1 in 12 weeks. Growth is a cyclical process. It takes time. It's an iterative process. 2 steps forwards, 1 step back is still progress. I just don't know what to expect. I'm just nervous for the unknown. And I've heard like wild stories where people are like, I quit my job and I moved towns. That's daunting. Like that much change. But almost, if not everyone that I've seen who's completed the course has said, my life has changed for the better. Change is scary. But if you'd like to join along on the ride, subscribe. Let's just see where this wild ride takes us. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.